All right. Camp so far, 2.5 days in, looks and sounds exactly like I thought it would.
Controversy?
Is that the right word? I mean, there's a lot of opinions and perspectives. Unfortunately, not that it should have been. It's just the first example that came to mind. Colin Kaepernick's conversation was controversial. Is this controversy?
I guess controversy is not maybe accurate in terms of the way they see it, but fans are already angry because you're either a Brock Purdy stan, oh, you just love Brock because of what he's done and how he looks and who he is, or you love Brock because you hate Trey. And the other side of it is, oh, you love Trey because he's never done anything wrong. He's never had a chance. He got hurt. You don't lose your job to injury. Or you love Brock or you love Trey because of where he was drafted and what he possibly can represent. I do think there is a divide. And ultimately, when we get to September and the season starts, true 49er fans will line up behind whoever the quarterback is.
Well, sure. And I think, sure, when there's a game, you sit down and you watch the game or you go to the game and you root for the 49ers.
But however, right now, where we are, it's it's easy in July. If you're Team Trey, it's easy to say, well, Brock they're rushing him back, and Brock is just a couple of bad throws away from getting the hook. And if they don't give him the hook and they lose, well, then Shanahan's an idiot.
You said Team Trey. And I did have, and I'm not going to say who, but one of the assembled media yesterday came up to me and goes, yeah, yesterday was a really tough day for the Trey people. And I went, gosh darn it. Okay, Team Trey, the Trey people, Brock stands, all of this stuff that we hear. I would understand that if there was a quarterback controversy, but there isn't. That's what's different here. Normally, fans and media are allowed, or the normalcy would be, you start to pick sides when there are sides to pick. But the 49ers have not made any bones about this from the second that last year's winning streak took place. There is no quarterback controversy. There isn't. They're not yet. They're not. If there is, it's between Sam and Trey for 2. So they're not sitting here going, boy, well, let's evaluate what's going on here and otherwise so that we can pick a quarterback, and therefore in the fan base there's Team Trey and then there's Team Brock. Like, that's what would normally be the case. But that's sort of what the picture that I've been trying to paint the whole time. There's Team Trey and there's Team Brock, and then there's the 49ers. They're over here like, we're not even talking about this. We're not even thinking about this.
They're not fans. They're the people who actually make the decision. And I would guarantee you right now, if I went to Twitter or X, whatever they're calling it now, and I put out a poll, who do you think should start for the 49ers at quarterback in week 1 this year? Brock Purdy or Trey Lance? I bet you it would run probably 70-30 Brock. But the fact that even 30% of the people would say Trey speaks to the fact that in fans' minds, maybe it's not a controversy, but we are 1 or 2 bad games away from fans thinking that it is. Now, you asked me on Monday, I think, or we talked about it with Steiny and Goo, maybe like, how many games would it take for the Niners to look and say, whoa, we need to make a change?
How long is the leash?
I thought 8 or 9, whatever the bye week was. I think it was 8. They have 8 games, and then they have a bye. So I think the leash would be 8 games. But for fans, it might be 8 plays. If they go 3 and out on back-to-back series.
Oh, we can't do that.
And let's say they go 3 and out, and Wishnowski drops the snap on the punt, and it's a short field, and Pittsburgh scores at 7-0. And then Brock comes out again. It's run, throws it in the dirt, and they punt again, and Pittsburgh marches down, and they score, and it's 14-0. Twitter's going to melt down.
Yep.
After 2 series.
Well, that's the way Twitter is, though, right? LeBron James' legacy is on the line with every shot.
Every play.
So
that's kind of my point, though, about the team thinks there's no controversy, and the fans think, oh, they rushed Brock back.
Right.
And, I mean, Brock better look good against the Raiders on August 13th, or else.
Or else. I mean, is anybody worried after him going 3 for 10 with a pick today?
Is that what it was?
3 for 10 with a pick.
He threw a pick?
Yeah.
It's over.
On one of his first throws.
3 for 10?
3 for 10 with a
Because
pick.
you know I don't believe in practice stats. I hate practice stats.
Yeah, apparently it was a Darnold day. Bonte said that. It's a Darnold day. I buy that. He looked the best of the three.
3 for 10,
So
though?
Purdy was 3 for 10, but apparently Lance didn't look great either.
Where are you getting your numbers? From David Lombardi, 515 today?
Bunch of places. And I think David Lombardi's 415 today.
My fault.
Yeah. Do I have that right, Lucas?
No, Kruger's at 415. Lombardi's 515.
I thought Kruger was 515 and Lombardi was 415.
Lombardi 415, Kruger 515.
1-0 Willard. Let's go.
Whatever.
Let's go.
You're supposed to know.
Look, I know you're rusty. It's early. You're just coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
You threw a pick on your first pass. It's okay.
Lucas rushed me back. I wasn't supposed to be on until 3 today. He rushed me.
He did. Yeah, he did.
You have control over that.
It's true. That's true. You're making the calls around here.
That's
Do
right.
you know that? Mm-hmm. All right. And
I'll see you at 3:15.
Go on.
Mark on a Thursday.
Exactly.
Mark with the C and Mark with the K.
It's me and me.
It's Marky Mark.
95.7 the me.
The Funky Bunch.
All
That
right.
would be you, Lucas.
I guess what I'm after today,
Thanks.
and we're going to take your calls here in just a second. 888-957-9570. You know what I'm after today? I don't care if you're Team Brock or Team Trey. I hate that. I don't want teams here. I'm on Team 49ers. But no matter where you're at on this is what I'm trying to figure out. If we all acknowledge, and I already have, I'm not 100% sold that Brock Purdy's going to be exactly who he was last year in terms of results. But why are you having such a hard time believing what you saw? Because it wasn't
In actual games.
It wasn't 1 week. It wasn't 3 weeks. It was 10. Like, it was a long time. Different scenarios. Road, home, from behind, from ahead, regular season, playoffs, Thursday night, Sunday afternoon. It was all of that. And it kept looking the same. And so with that as the backdrop, I would argue, without using the number 100%, I would argue we are well north of 50-50 on whether or not that was quote-unquote real, sustainable, who he actually is. And he did it all as a rookie with no reps. Now he's going to be a second-year player with reps.
Yeah, ugly reps. I mean,
3 for 10 with a pick.
he might be better off without reps, quite frankly.
Fair or foul, like way more likely than not that Brock Purdy is good.
It's more likely that he's good
That's all I'm saying.
than he's not good.
I'm
But
not
it's
telling you he's good. I'm saying it's
like-
more likely than not.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes. What percentage of you would think that he's good versus he's not good? It's probably 100 to 0.
117.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
done.
we could play that game with a bunch of different quarterbacks, and you get to Brock Purdy, and you and I both are kind of in that 80 to 20.
Yeah.
It's 80% that's real. That's Brock Purdy. He's going to be good. He may not always be that good. He may not always win 7 of every 8 games, but Brock Purdy is good enough to quarterback a good team and be a playoff winning quarterback. We saw it. I'm 80% certain that is not flukish. 20% of me, well, the elbow injury and the surrounding cast and lightning in a bottle
Sure.
and defenses adjusting, whatever you want to put on that 20%. But I would say it's probably 80 to 20 in terms of my own believability in Brock Purdy.
I like that. Yeah, Grandy, what's up?
A couple of things. First of all, we put a poll up on our YouTube channel, on the
Saw that.
YouTube chat. Who do you want to start week 1? So if you want to vote in that, get over to the 95.7 The Game YouTube channel.
I voted, by the way. I voted for Brock Purdy, currently tracking at 78%. Thank you,
Yeah.
Randy.
Yeah, and then the other thing I would say, I think, for me personally, I think a lot of Niner fans feel this way. The thought of wanting to figure out what Trey Lance is, at least for me personally, it has nothing to do with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy could be great, he could be fantastic, but Trey Lance, it's just an unknown, and he clearly has some sort of potential. I just want to know at some point.
I totally buy that, and I guess I'm glad you brought that up, because isn't the response, boy, we'd all love to see it, if only there was a way.
Yes,
Because I deny the only way, which is, well, I just take the first 4 weeks of the season and see. No, It is way too valuable. It is not doable. If there were minor leagues in the NFL, sweet. Let's check it. If there was a way to do what baseball does, well, let's call them up. Sprinkle them in for 3 weeks. Let's get a look. Oh, it didn't work. There's no way to do that. I have the same thirst that you all have to see what Trey Lance can do.
Right.
If only there were a way to do that.
There is a way to do it.
Without potentially ruining the season, I'd be all in.
Well, there is a way to do it, and it's the same way that we do it in our business. And I think about Mark Grandy and Evan Giddings as great examples, guys who have gone from relative anonymity to being voices on the station. You don't just say, hey, Mark, I like your style. Have a gig. You're now doing 10 to 2. No, you have them do a podcast. You have them do drop-ins as, technical directors. You have them do play-by-play for the Panthers. You have them do all these other things. And it's like, good at that. He's good at that. He's great at that. He can do that. He annoys Dibs. Perfect. You're hired. And so there's a certain assessment period that happens before you give them that platform.
I'd have moved the annoys Dibs thing higher on the resume.
I don't know how
this
much
station
that matters
loves
to me.
it. Well, no, a lot. Trust me. I've been in meetings.
You
It's
get
a
him
big
mad
deal.
and he has to look back at you. I like that.
You like that?
You piss him off, you win. We all win. It's the same thing with Trey Lance. You see him in practice,
Right.
in the meeting rooms, in OTAs, in mandatory minicamp, in 7-on-7, 11-on-11, with pads, without pads. You see everything you see, and then you make your call.
I hate saying this, too, because I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I also have learned enough in life to know that this crap that we're all talking about usually works itself out. They're really going to let Trey go without seeing what he can do? Probably not. He's probably going to get a shot somewhere along the line. This will work itself out, and then we'll know what we know. We will know more. September, October, November, there will be more information coming in. But as we go with what we know right now, and that's sort of where I sit and why I get confused by some of the opinions out there. If we go with what we know right now, this is all rather obvious. There's only what we do know. The rest of it, you're all guessing. Trey got a big arm. He got a good leg. Great. Here's what we know. Brock has achieved blank at the NFL level. And there's a word in there.
And Trey has achieved
and Trey
blank.
has not.
Well, he's achieved blank.
Blank. But I can fill in Brock's blank with a word. He has achieved something.
He's won
in the
playoff
NFL.
games.
Yes.
As predicted, Mark, and I said that if I put a poll on Twitter and the Grandy Man and Lucas took the initiative and did it on YouTube, right now it's 71% Brock Purdy, 29% Trey Lance. So I told you it'd run probably 70-30.
Yep.
And that's about where we are 5 minutes in.
30% of you are nut jobs. That's what I got to say.
You watch your mouth.
Nut jobs.
The question is, who do you want to start week 1? It doesn't mean they're nut jobs if they want that.
Okay, who do you want? Yeah, I read it as who do you think should?
Yeah.
That's a different question, isn't it?
It's your own confirmation bias.
Yeah, there you go. Although I think that's what people are answering. I don't think it's who are you a fan of.
Well, if you're a
but
Niner,
actually, even if you want it, I'm still going to call you a nut job. Don't you want the Niners to win the game?
Are you saying they can't win with Trey Lance?
I'm saying they're more.
You're
such a nut job. I'm saying they're a lot more likely to with Brock Purdy, aren't they?
I'm saying this team could win with Brandon Allen at quarterback.
Maybe.
You could go 11-6 with Brandon Allen at quarterback.
Maybe. Well, that's a pretty big statement.
And you and I've already made this. I made this statement for years, and I said this about Jimmy Garoppolo. The quarterback of the Niners is not the most important player on the field, nor should he be in the way that Kyle Shanahan runs his offense.
You and I firmly disagree on that.
Yeah.
Because,
me and most people.
Well, no, I don't agree even with that. I don't think you can take majority opinion on that. A quarterback is always the most.
Most people agree with you.
Yeah, the quarterback is always the most important player on a football field, and quite frankly, usually in an entire market. Number one, and number two, based on the history of Kyle Shanahan, wouldn't you suggest that somebody who's such a play calling guru and someone who's had such success with it at the NFL level, like who he's got as his extension out on the field, that being the right person is huge. It's huge. And Jimmy, while often good at it, was also maddening and in the end, short of the overall goal. So, that person is very, very important. Because
would you say Brock Purdy's better than Jimmy Garoppolo at Jimmy's best?
I don't
when
think
Jimmy took you to the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy's already better than that?
I don't think Jimmy ever had an 8-game run that looked like that, statistically or otherwise. Yes.
Jimmy also didn't have what Brock Purdy had in terms of weapons. This is the best collection of skill position players that the Niners have had in 30 years.
Except for, remember, Jimmy did get this group also for a short period of time. They won all their games, but they didn't score nearly as many points as Brock did.
He had McCaffrey.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Kittle.
A little bit.
And Debo and Brandon.
You had the guys, yeah. I mean,
I
you know,
have to see
guys
for how long. There might have been that one game that he got hurt.
I'll look back on where that, because Christian showed up in the Chiefs game and then started the next week. That was still Jimmy time before he went down. I'll look how many games it was until they got to Miami.
You talk all over.
Okay, let's go. Actually, let's have Alex talk.
Thank you.
Alex on the Bay Bridge. What are you doing?
Listen, guys, you're totally right. There's no reason two things can't be true at the same time. Brock Purdy showed us that he can be an elite quarterback last year, and Trey Lance is a victim of circumstances. He's been injured. There's been quarterbacks in front of him. He didn't play enough in college. Whatever it is, he hasn't had a fair shot. That being said, there's no reason to doubt that Brock Purdy's the guy week one if he's healthy. Also, clowns like Rob come on talking smack about Brock Purdy, not real Niner fans, because if you watched the season last year, you saw the truth.
I mean, that's the thing. This is what's weird to me. Alex, thank you. This is what I have trouble understanding. What is it like? Okay, draft position, he looks smaller, you think he's in Trey's way, whatever your emotional thing is. If you're a 49er fan, how can you not love what happened last year? How can you poke a hole in it? Some dude with no reps out of the 7th round walked in, saved the season, and won all the games. I'm missing the bad part. Where's the bad?
The bad is they're keeping Trey Lance down. That's the bad.
Dude had a broken ankle while all this was happening.
Yeah.
Thank God for Brock. You know where last year was headed? I mean, Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger are calling the Niners because they're like, sorry about your season being over.
Yep. So Kansas City happens.
Right.
And then Garoppolo in Arizona.
More. Yeah.
And then after that, it became Brock Purdy time.
No, so Garoppolo got at the Rams.
Yep.
Won 31-14. Then beat the Chargers 22-16. Then beat the Cardinals 38-10. Then grinded out the Saints 13-0. Then he played the first quarter of the Dolphins game where he was down 7-3. So he got 4 1/4 with McCaffrey as the starter.
Yeah.
Won them all. And but they averaged whatever that is.
About 25 a game.
Yeah.
That New Orleans game was a weird one.
It was a weird one. It was a weird one.
Yes, certainly.
Not a good offensive football game for the 49ers.
Across the
board. Patrick in Foster City. Hi, Patrick. What's up to the mean streets of FC, Patrick?
Hey, thanks for taking the call. I'm a big Purdy fan. I thought he did great last year. But, I was a big Jeremy Lim fan a few years ago, too. And we kind of know how that turned out, right? He was insanity, right? Linsanity, I guess. So, but I guess in terms of controversy, I don't think you can say that a right-handed quarterback coming off major elbow surgery on his right arm that you don't have some controversy. To me, that's definitely some controversy.
Why? Why would you use the word controversy? I get that you might have a hesitation of confidence.
Well, controversy in terms of who they think is going to be the best quarterback starting game one, I guess, from that sense.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick, again, thanks. I get it. You can sit here and look at it and go, this makes me nervous. That is beyond fair. This makes me nervous. If you're a fan and that's your sentence, this makes me nervous. The Niners are all in on a young guy out of the 7th round who had a good stretch and is coming off of a major injury. Well, that's beyond fair. But that's not what I hear. I hear there's no way this can actually be what it already was. And because of the questions in my head, we should go with the other questions in camp. We should go with that guy over there who has 3 years of questions within the system.
And an equal number of injuries and even more questions in terms of what he can actually do in the NFL, or you want to go to the third stringer, who might be the second stringer, who famously was caught on a live mic saying he sees ghosts. So you've had a guy who's been in 2 different camps with 4 different coordinators, who's closer to Alex Smith than he is to being Brock Purdy. I mean, I look at Sam Darnold's career arc, and it reminds me of Alex Smith in terms of a different coordinator every year and a guy who's just really looking for the right fit to be as good as he was estimated to be. Now, Alex Smith never really materialized as the number 1 overall and the best quarterback in the league. He turned out to be a really good quarterback. Not a great one, but he was a good to really good quarterback. He won playoff games, but Sam Darnold is looking more like Alex Smith to me than he is, a guy who was taken that high in the draft.
Well, I mean, that's actually, that's sort of a side experiment, if you will.
Side fear.
Well, Silver's article yesterday, when Kyle Shanahan starts talking about Sam Darnold's star quality, I mean, if Darnold were to end up getting a shot this year as the 49er quarterback, and he's fantastic, I mean, that's resume item 1 for Kyle Shanahan. You can take a 3rd overall pick in the draft who's been to 2 places, seen ghosts and not look good, and then suddenly he comes out and just rocks with the Niners, then you know what? You're all right. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Or Kyle Shanahan is, he's that amazing for QBs. I could understand all of that, but who knows if that's even going to be something that comes to pass. Can we meet in the middle on that statement? This makes me nervous, I think, is a totally fair thing to say about Brock Purdy.
Sure.
And the whole situation. This makes me nervous. What I don't like is when people are like, hey, scrawny little spaghetti noodle from the 7th round, what the hell are we doing? Come on. You're being disrespectful and flat out ignorant based on what's already happened in this league. Is that fair?
I think it's fair to say it scares you a little bit, but it doesn't scare me because you've got 3 quarterbacks behind him. You've got number 3 overall in the draft. You've got Sam Darnold, who was a top 5 pick, who's got experience, and Brandon Allen, who by all measurements chose to be here thinking that this is a system that he can thrive in.
Right.
So I'm not nervous at all. I mean, I'm nervous for Brock, but if something should happen to Brock, and by the way, it will, because that's what happens when you play for Kyle Shanahan.
Wash your mouth.
You've got backups. I'm just looking at facts, Mark. Facts.
Not facts. Past facts.
Which is history.
But then you made a prediction, right? Could be like an investment. Past performance is no indication of future success.
Yeah.